Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, last week we had the kind of the webinar about the dark masculine, and my intention for today is just to give you a brief overview what we're doing, what the arc is. So we do the hand meditation, talking more about that, the implementation of that, and today I just wanted to have a deeper look into the polarity about the dark masculine and the dark feminine, and what the dark feminine literally meant if we don't have that in our life. And meaning, doesn't matter in which kind of body type we are, we all have this dark feminine aspects. It's really exciting to look into that. Okay, so we start with a hand meditation. I might share a screen with some maps, so if you would like to know something more. And then we're just opening the space up for question and answers and sharing life experiences as they occur. And all right, so let's do the hand thing. So I just to change my screen here. I see I have something on my screen that doesn't belong there. I don't know what that is. Why is the calendar there? Okay, it's just there. I have my calendar underneath and I don't know why. Okay, so you have to be okay with my calendar under my hands. Can't see anything. So my invitation is take something in your hands and lean back, get relaxed, keep your eyes open or closed as you like. We do that for about 7-8 minutes or so, something like that. And whatever that is in your hands, allow your mind to rest by giving it a label or a purpose, and you know how to use it for or what it is. And the next step is just to make connection with your skin, with your hands, and feeling into the haptic, so temperature. Is it smooth or is it rough? Is it round, soft? The density, is it fragile? Can it break easy? And then it doesn't matter in what speed you move. I invite you to slow down your speed by half and slow it down by half again, so that you move really slowly. Because the slower you go, the more you will feel. And what we're looking for is this explorative excursion of your hand on the object or with the object over your hand when you stroke in certain parts, maybe your palm or between your fingers or your fingertips. You notice it feels kind of tinglish or pleasant or pleasurable even. And when you tap into this sensation, wherever it feels good, I invite you for a moment to stay there and just enjoy the sensation. So nothing to give here, nowhere to go. Just to feel and to sense why you are in action. Doesn't mean anything. It's not about giving to anybody or anybody doing anything to you. Just feeling and sensing why you are in action. That's pretty much it. And just allow your breath to flow, and whenever thoughts or feelings coming up, that's okay. Just notice them and bring your attention straight back to the sensation there in your hands, in your skin. Slowly, gentle, bring your movement to a stop. Stay there for a moment. And just notice what you notice within yourself. And opening up your eyes, bring your attention back to the screen. And anything that you want to share about your experience is more than welcome. And whatever your experience is or was, so what did you notice about yourself? That's the practice, literally, noticing what you notice and expressing it, what you notice. At the Swiss Tantra Festival, I just had these 2 workshops. One of them was Consent is Sexy. The other one is the 4 Pillars of Relating. And the 4 Pillars of Relating is pretty much, so you find as well the online course in the Academy on Mighty Network. I will just actually make a video how to use that, and then we'll send that around the Mighty Network that everybody has access to that. So in the 4 Pillars of Relating, there is the second and the third pillar kind of based on the engagement system. So the second pillar is literally you have or give permission. What is literally the dark masculine or the dark feminine. Yeah. So to avoid the shadows of it, that when there is a holistic permission, then the action is individually responsible for everybody who is in action. Yeah? And so then there is no victim and blaming and responsibility and finger pointing possible, so if you have this holistic permission. And the third one is the agreement line. Yeah, what is literally more the light masculine or the light feminine. And the sentence that I use when I explain into the third pillar is that I say that to my partner: if you want me to do something, you need to ask. If you don't ask for anything, I don't do anything. And if I want something, I will ask for anything, and I respect your limits. And if I don't ask for anything, I don't want anything. Yeah. And then most people say just like, yeah, but what is if I just want to give a gift or something? This is the fourth pillar. The fourth pillar is literally, you give because you have, you provide because you can, and you just come from a place of generosity, love and care. But the third pillar is something that is really, really important, because if I need something or if I want something, then I will ask for it. And then the question is, why would I not ask for what I want or what I need? And then the shadows will come up. So that is true for me and the person I'm relating with. That can be intimate relating or it can be any other relating. So that it's our responsibility to speak up what we need or what we want. And in specific, and I just practice that with people I'm more in intimate connection with, a friend of mine here in Stockholm. We do that as a sport. So when we feel really shitty and really awkward, and I have all these feelings sitting somewhere where I feel just like, oh God, I feel embarrassed, I feel awkward, and I feel shit. Then and normally when I share that with friends and with people, they say just like, no, you are awesome, you are great, and they just try to affirm me kind of feeling better again. But actually, when I feel shit, I don't want to resist or fight there. Then I ask my friend, hey, can you tell me just that it's totally okay? And I want to hear exactly these words. Can you tell me that this is totally okay, that I feel shit, awkward, embarrassed, and just really bad? Is it okay? Can you tell me that this is totally okay? Then she said, hey, yeah, Matt, it's totally okay that you feel shit, awkward, embarrassed, and shame. That's totally fine. And then I can just, okay, now I have heard it. Now I can relax into it. I don't need to fight it. Just like I need and wanted to hear that. And sometimes I have a specific thing that I want somebody else to tell me. And sometimes when I'm talking with somebody who said just like, yeah, I need to hear from you something that I feel better about something. And then I said, yeah, okay, so whatever you want to hear, what is it that I can tell you? Well, I don't know what you have to tell me. Don't you know what you could tell me that I feel better? I said, well, I could tell you all kind of stuff and trying to hit the mark that you feel better. But maybe there are some words that you have in mind that you would like to hear that I can tell you. And then, I can feel if I can say these words, but, as long I can feel what you want to hear, I can speak it in my own terms, but I can say exactly what you need to hear. Yeah. Some people need an apology about something, and then it's like, okay, so I did not know that this was a thing, and I apologize for that. And then people can relax, because then I don't need to chop around the bush or try to say something that they might feel better about. So literally, there are so many different things about the light masculine. What is so important in relating dynamics, not to come into the pleaser dynamic or into the expectations and the disappointment when there are unmet expectations. But the main thing is that in relationship, there's a lot of dynamics going on, that somebody is expecting somebody else to know, what I call the telepathic agreements, or the kind of good guessing dynamics. And what I mean with the light masculine, and that 1 second here, and that belongs as well to men and to women. Oh, sorry, I've lost my mouse. Here it is. Is this, if you need something, you ask me for it. For example, can you just clean up the dishwasher, or can you just like vacuum the entrance or something like that? And this is a need that somebody else had. And the important part in the light masculine is that when we want somebody else to do something for us, we need to put our desire first while respecting somebody else's limits. And if we...
Is that the light masculine and not the dark masculine?
Because the dark...
Could you clean up the dishwasher?
Because the distinction between the light and the dark masculine is the action and who the action is for. So the dark masculine is this, I am in action for myself. Yeah. And the light masculine is, you are in action for me. That's a distinction.
Okay.
While the dark feminine is, you are in action for yourself, and the light feminine is, you are in action for me. So this is the distinction: who is in action and who the action is for. Yeah. Well, the nuance to that is when you operate from that place of, you make a request. And sometimes a request can sound like a demand or an order. Yeah. And it can be just like, go and empty the dishwasher. Yeah. And sometimes this kind of energetics or dynamics can come from a privilege. And when it comes from a privilege, it does not include the other person's limits. Yeah, it's just like
the shadow aspect.
Then you talk about the shadow aspect. So that would just like, you just clean out the dishwasher. It's not only I make a demand. It's just not even declaration. This is just like, you just do that from a place of power. Yeah. And what comes with that shadow is that it does not include the other person's limits. If the other person says just like, yeah, I just really hear you. You just want to have the dishwasher cleaned out, but I'm not doing it because I have something else to do. And you can detect if you're coming from the light masculine or the light masculine shadow, is that when somebody else does what you request them to do, that comes with a sensation of gratitude. Yeah. If it comes from a shadow, it just only comes with satisfaction, I guess. and you know, this kind of shadows, they go pretty deep emotionally and energetically, because why people in the light masculine avoid the joy of gratitude or gratitude in general is because they're feeling obliged or guilty to do something in return. Yeah.
Yeah.
But if you're not obliged, or if you're not operating from guilt or duty, then there is just, for the received part, is just a sensation, as a physical body sensation of joy, of being grateful, and that's it. Yeah.
I have to ask for more than for the dishwasher, but yeah.
Yeah. But you know, it's, you know, I said that at the festival. I don't know if it was Consent is Sexy, but in one of the workshops, I said that I was 45, and this is just, no, I just tell you my age. It's 11 or 12 years ago. I was 45 when and I was already 15 years in as a Tantra practitioner. That was the first time I received an erotic genital massage. Because in this massage, the person did exactly what I want the person to do, nothing more and nothing less. Yeah, not the pre-assumed, and not the guessing, and not they know better about my body, or they're just like trained in something and then they do the tricks. No, I want this person to do exactly this in that way. Are you willing to do that? And the person said, yeah, I'm willing to do that. Exactly as you say, nothing more, nothing less. And I gave really absolute, precise instructions what and how I wanted to be touched. And that was the first time, and you know, the level of shame and embarrassment and awkwardness that came up. And then I said to this person, just like, oh, can you tell me it's totally okay that I feel awkward and embarrassed? Hey, Matt, it's totally okay to feel embarrassed and awkward. Thank you. Okay, are you willing to do such and such? Yeah, I'm totally willing to do such and such. And the level of enjoyment and gratitude that came with it was absolutely overwhelmingly beautiful. So that was the embodiment of it. And you know, the light masculine aspect of that is just beautiful, as much as it is the light feminine aspect. When, you know, this is part of when I do empowerment sessions with people, and I have a lot of people coming with sexual trauma into my studio in my practice. When I do the first step of the empowerment massage, when I'm going into the light feminine, and I assure them I do exactly what you ask me to, and nothing more or nothing less. If you don't ask for anything, there's nothing happening here. So you can totally relax. And the first thing that most people need to say at this point is just like, I don't want to be touched at all. Don't touch me. So just to speak that out in a way, to declare that as a boundary, most people come into the recognition that, oh, hey, wait a second, I actually want to be touched, but I want to be touched only in a certain way and in no other way. Can you do that? And I said, absolutely. I can assure you I do exactly what you ask, and we're making sure together that what you want is exactly what I do. And this is the play between the light masculine and the light feminine. You know, the interesting thing is all this kind of stuff about the system and the light and dark masculine, all that, you know, you can just wake me up in the middle of the night and I can speak it all backwards. You know, this is because this is how deep it is in. And sometimes the way when I speak it is just so obvious for me that I don't recognize anymore that this is not so obvious for others. So I just try to make it accessible as good as I can. So please forgive me if I'm just jumping ahead things and assume everybody knows what I'm talking about. So thank you for speaking it up. And whenever you have the feeling that like there's something missing and you just like actually have a mind fuck as you did that, please, I really appreciate that when you said that, because it's not everybody else's kind of level, the way how I have embodied it. So, and I really would like to make it as transparent as I can. So the sexual things, for example, when you look into the 4 pillars of relating, yeah, the first pillar is the most important pillar of all because it's self-love, self-care. It's that place where, you have autonomy and self-agency, your feelings, your thoughts, your desires, the whole shebang. And the second one is, if I want to be with another person on the spectrum of everything is possible, I want to give this permission, and I want to have this permission, a holistic level, not asking every 5 seconds, but once and for all. Do I have this permission to use my body at any time on your body, and tell me if you have a boundary coming up, and then we can talk about that boundary. Yeah, thank you. And you have the same permission. You can do whenever, however, whatever you want. I speak about my boundaries if I have them. Yeah, but please reach out, touch me, do stuff with me. And then the third level, as I said that now to Florian, if you want me to do something specifically when it comes to physical, sensual, erotic proximity, yeah, just like, hey, I want you to come here and do this to my body on this part. Will you do that? Yeah, and I want my partner to do the same thing. I want my partner to ask for what I want her, what she want me to do to her, because I don't know what she wants. I can guess, and I'm very good in reading cues and stuff like that. But if she wants something, just ask for it. It's not my job to guess around. But all that is not how lovemaking and really deep relationship is happening. This is to practice different dynamics. The dishwasher, just like, yeah, the dishwasher, I know. The vacuum cleaner, yeah, I know. The rubbish and the bathroom and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, stuff needs to happen. Let's talk about that. But the real thing about erotism, lovemaking, and the deeper layers of that is the 4th pillar, where both can be in action. It can be for both. Both are receiving and both are giving, and the entire structure of the 3-minute game and all that stuff doesn't exist. Because it's a big mesh of aliveness. And this big mesh of aliveness, this is where the dynamics, the polarities of the dark masculine and the dark feminine, they change between you and the person you are engaging with. Yeah, and in the 4th pillar, in the 4 pillars of relating workshop, what I did at the festival, I asked people then to come together. Yeah, 2 people standing in front of each other. It's just hard to demo here. Let's say this is one person, this is the other person. Yeah, and let's say this is person A, this is person B, and I said bring your hands together, and somewhere in the middle is a 0 point, and then person A is leading person B. Yeah. And person B is following. One person is in action and the other person is following that action. Yeah? And then I ask them to take over. Now the other person is leading and the other one is following, so that you know who is leading and who is following by instructions. And then I ask, now at this point, you both go into leading. And then you have this kind of struggle and fighting. Now I'm in charge. Now I'm in charge. And you have this kind of back and forth kind of thing. And I said, this is how most relationships look like. Yeah, both want to be in charge. Nobody wants to give in. And then I said, go back to the 0 point. And then at the 0 point, I said, now both are following. And nothing is happening. And said, this is how the other relationship look like. The one is always waiting for the other one to go in action and finally take a risk to do something, that something is happening, but nothing is happening. Yeah. And then I said, just like now, when you make this eye contact and when you are in connection with the person, let play occur by itself without anybody telling you who is the one in charge. And there is in play a natural dynamic of a flow happening, of leading and following. And this is where switching is happening on a very natural way between you and your partner. I would say if I'm in lovemaking, in erotic dynamics, I'm probably 75 to 80% in the leading role and in the dynamic of the dark masculine. However, I want to explore as well 20%, sometimes even more, of the dark feminine. I want to surrender and I want my partner to take over and take the lead and do me the way how she wants to, while she is feeling into me and being in attunement with what my expressions are. And sometimes I play that for a while, and then I just notice, okay, and then I feel the flip again and feel the switch again, just like, okay, and then in a playful way I take over and I'm in charge again. And that can, during lovemaking in an ecstatic, play that can sometimes take hours, can switch back and forth many times. And there's no agenda in there. It's just a flow and play. The interesting thing is that, the interpersonal structure of, I guess, human connection is normally the fourth pillar. This is how we all are. This is here where we're in. We have a little bit of rules, but we have some, this is interpersonal connection here. Yeah. But if you have only the fourth pillar as interpersonal connection, and people don't know the level of self-love and self-care, they don't know the level of permission, they don't know the level of agreement, all the shadows, they will sneak into the interpersonal structure, and then people don't know anymore where they are and what they have agreed upon and who the action is for and, what's the purpose and the intention. And then you have, interpersonal love and care mixed up with shadows. And this is where stuff sometimes feels like, okay, I'm out of here. I'm not feeling it. I did in 2017, I did a training in Bali with that time friend and mentor Bruce Lyon. And so he was for many years ISTA faculty and ISTA governance, and so he asked me to assist on this training, and I said, yeah, let's do it. And so we sit in the training, and he is drawing, and he has a kind of a deep cosmology, shamanic background and all this stuff. And he is drawing on a whiteboard this kind of, and this time I was still deep entangled with the wheel and the structure. So he's drawing this circle and makes a cross in it. And I was just like, oh, what's happening now? Is he drawing the wheel of consent? And then he said that he was dividing the structure of masculine and feminine into different actions, or in the, in different polarities, to just make that more clear. And then he just draw the shadow aspect and the healthy aspect in there, and I sit there and just like, holy mother, this is exactly what I was looking for, the combination about masculine and feminine in combination with the structure of the wheel. Yeah. And then, in 2017, I was just kind of so sick and tired about this woo-woo, la-la kind of language in the Tantra scene. And I was just like, forget it. I don't want to have this conversation, because most of the time, if I was trying to explain something, then people said, just like, can't you feel the energy? Just like, no, if you can't explain what it is and can't really dive into that and show me what it is, and then the energy doesn't really matter, because it's just an excuse not to be able to explain what's going on. And I completely dropped this entire Tantra thing, the huffy, fluffy, woo-woo kind of language. Just like, yeah, this is all energy. And I have kind of dropped it for a long time now. And now I just took out the... and you have seen that maybe on my Facebook wall, there is this combination, a conversation between Harry Fedis and Betty Martin. And it's really, really interesting, where Harry Fedis said where the structure is from the 3-minute game. And this, what Betty Martin calls the taking dynamic. So you're in action for yourself. He calls that you give your gift of power. Yeah. And because it is from a BDSM practice, power, intimacy, and surrender. And they talk about this dynamics, and all of a sudden Betty talks about the sensory inflow, what is your action for yourself, you feel yourself, and Harry sits there and just like, as if somebody starts speaking Chinese. So he has no idea what she's talking about. This is my perception. If that's true, I never have asked him. And then in this ongoing conversation, he talks about when you give your gift of power, like he comes from the 12-step program where he says, the second step, you give your power to a greater power than yourself to save your sanity, where the person in power is giving their power to the other person to surrender. Yeah, and stuff makes really sense to me. Just like, yeah, that's clear. And Betty looks at him and she says 3 times, I don't understand what you're saying. Can you explain that again? I don't know what you're saying here. And this is the dynamics that I have seen so many times, that there is in the wheel or in the structure no gift of power. Yeah. What the interpersonal place is, where you're literally, between men and women, everybody needs to be in their power and need to be capable of giving your gift of power to somebody else to surrender. So when I say I want to have 20% surrender, that the other person is in power, is independent from the masculine and feminine way. So they speak at the very end of this conversation about that's some people call that masculine and feminine, and then both say, handshaking, just like, yeah, I have nothing to do with that. Yeah, great, me neither. But when you go to a Tantra festival, or when you're in the Tantra scene, or when you're around this language, everybody throws around this terminology about dark masculine and feminine and masculine and behavior, and then they just take man and women apart on the festivals, and then you have the man integrating the masculine and the female integrating the feminine. And I think this is completely bullshit. I was thinking, why isn't it at the Tantra festival in Ängsbacker, for example, that the man, if they separate them, yeah, why isn't that the man actually doing feminine stuff and the women or the female doing masculine stuff? And I've seen so much bullshit. For example, they divide that men and women. The women doing kind of just like the hug, the sensual, the feeling, and we are all, yeah, beautiful, and connection and the flow. And the guys doing kind of just, yeah, boom, boom, aga, uga, yeah, we are so strong, aga, yeah, we are in our power. And then the women are all down in the tent, in the heart tent, and all the guys just like gearing up with just like, yeah, we are warriors, and we are just, yeah, we are fighting for truth, and da-da-da. And then you have these guys marching down to the women in the tent, and I see this women kind of where the guys getting closer, just like getting smaller with every step. They're coming closer, and just like and I said, I have nothing to do with that, and I moved aside, And I have seen that now at the Swiss Tantra Festival as well. There were a lot of facilitators that come from the scene of Margot Anand, and Sarita is the kind of second line of Osho facilitator, and they're using the terminology of masculine and feminine, like as you just have a bread and an egg for breakfast, And then I was in a BDSM workshop where another facilitator then said, yeah, play with your partner, and you play with the dark masculine in yourself and the dark feminine in yourself and the light masculine, the light feminine. So she did a demo on me and did the light masculine and the light feminine. So she did all 4 on me, and it was just like, wait a second. This is not how I understood that back from the shamanic circle from Bruce Line in 2017. The dark masculine is in action for himself, yeah, and the light feminine is in action for somebody else's request. So if I'm in a BDSM thing and I do what I want in different qualities, so really hard or soft or sweet or fast, I'm always in the dark masculine when I'm in action, but in different qualities. And she was adding it up in 4 different qualities and called them light masculine. I was just like, this is just completely bollocks for me. Because if people start to do that, I'm confused with my own structure if I would follow what you say. And then I had the plan doing this webinar last Monday, what I did already, planned that a week or 2 weeks ago. And then it's just like, no, I just want to clean up with that shit. This is how I see it. This is not the truth. It's just the way how it makes totally sense to me. And if it makes sense to you and you overlap them both, you might have a benefit that I was trying to bridge Tantra with the stuff that I've created with the engagement system. But this is not the ultimate truth, but this works for me, and I'm really happy with it. I guess we are all, in a patriarchal oppression still, that we all don't know that we have been conditioned for hundreds or thousands of years. And I was just recommending a movie. And please, if you have Netflix and you have space and time, the movie is called I Am Not an Easy Man. It's a French movie. It came out in 2018. It's a story about a macho guy who is just like is living in the patriarchy French in Paris. And he's doing all this kind of stuff that most women would just like say yuck to. And he's just like crashing his head. And then he has a wake up. And then he wakes up in completely opposite world where women are in power, women doing all that stuff that men do, and men are in the female position. So if you have space and time, this movie is so hilarious. It's so ridiculous good to turn this the other way around. But what I want to say, I had a session today with a guy, an online session, and we talked about that, and he said just like, I just want to dive deeper into the orgasmic blueprint and become better as a lover. And and he said, I understood the structure about the dark masculine. I understand the structure, so I'm in action for myself. I understand, I give my gift of power. I understand the sensory inflow. I understand the difference between direct and indirect. Yeah, so what I can feel and what is coming back when I do what I do. And I said to him, you don't become better in playing tennis by playing more tennis. You become better in playing tennis when you go skiing in winter. And then you play tennis again in summer, and then you recognize through the break of playing tennis and skiing, you actually have more capacity to learn more, and now you become better. And this is what I said. You don't become better in the dark masculine by practicing more the dark masculine. You're becoming better in the dark masculine in stepping into the dark feminine. Because if you actually go into surrender, you learn for yourself to speak up if there is a boundary crossed or where you go along with something that is not in alignment with you. Because this is where you pick up somebody else's cues when you give your gift of power in the dark masculine, that you actually stop being in charge when somebody else is not really in the flow. Yeah, so you become better in the dark masculine the more you allow yourself to drop into the dark feminine. But now the dark feminine, to come back to what you said, that I can drop into the dark feminine totally and completely, utterly. I need to feel really safe with the person I'm with. Yeah, and I have said that, in many equations that when we play the predator, protector, prey game, yeah, nobody is in charge who is choosing you as a predator. And even the tiniest little person, if I would surrender to them and they can't read and feel and sense me, and I would not feel safe with that person, I could not let go. Yeah, so I need to feel safe, even I'm a 90 kilo, nearly 2 meter tall man, and I'm ripped and I'm strong, but it's a neurological, emotional state that I need to be capable of feeling felt from the other person. And if the other person can't feel me, there's no safety in my body and I cannot surrender. Then I personally then have to go into the light masculine and say, hey, can you please do such and such, or can you please slow down a little bit more, or can you please don't do that, or can you do more of that? But the level of safety and surrender, now coming back to there's a man in the tent, I guess it has to do a lot of with conditioning, what men's supposed to do and what women's supposed to do. But I would say from a neurological perspective, I know from a neurological perspective, because the wiring of the vagus nerve complex in a woman's body to the uterus and to the genitals that we men don't have makes, in my perception, women much more powerful and advanced in interpersonal and transpersonal experiences, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Okay, so I would like to dive a little bit deeper into the dark feminine today, the surrender part. And we have done that last year with not last year. We have done that last week with the listening turns. Because the dark feminine is not in action, and the dark feminine is giving access. So it's not for the dark feminine, it's for the other person to be in benefit. Even though that the quality of touch, the quality of the experience to surrender to somebody else's action when they actually are in alignment and when they are in connection with themselves is the best touch that is available. And my body needs and my body loves to surrender to this level of touch and connection. In fact, if I don't have that, and that's in my perception, as much as I train people and teach people and being on festivals and workshops and trainings and stuff like that, the level of missing out that most people carry because they don't have enough of the dark feminine coming from the dark masculine where they can surrender to, the level of missing out is so devastating that most people drying out on this level of the dark feminine. It's missing in the nervous system to surrender to somebody else's power without taking advantage. We all need that, and that's the biggest missing in most people's nervous system, emotionally, physically, neurologically. I would like to hear somebody else about that. Don't you long to be touched, that you can finally let go? Somebody is just fully taking over, ravish you, and brings you to that state where you finally say, Amen, this is what I needed. What happens when somebody not demands, but just really goes into their power and want you to surrender? What happens to your body? What's your emotional state that keeps you in difficulties to surrender? Yeah, in sexuality. So you said it's just hard for you to surrender in a sexual realm if for you to it's an interesting dynamic. I've been working with a tantra practitioner, and it's a few years back, 10 years or something like that. And he said that, he doesn't understand that as a concept, because it doesn't make any sense for him when the woman is in action, when she is doing her stuff, and he is letting her do that. He actually can't hold still, so he cannot not move and act and do something. And he said he is so in control and so in charge to protect himself that he can't even get an erection. And I said, well, this is exactly the thing. So as a man, to step into your power and give your power to somebody else, you need to be 100% safe with that person. Otherwise, and it happens for me as well, zero arousal, zero erection. But the level of expansion that I'm capable of becoming a multi-orgasmic being and have a massive erection when I can trust that person is massive. And I would always prepare this dark feminine expansion into this multi-orgasmic possibility than actually being in action and working so hard. I had an experience as well a few years back where I say it as it was, in a playful way, gang raped from a bunch of women. Yeah. And what I wanted them to do is, I asked them to be in their power of their anger that they always have suppressed, and use that liberated anger to dominate me and do to me whatever they want to do. That can be punishment, that can be anything that comes into your mind. Yeah. And the level of love and care that came from this woman in combination with anger was absolutely cruciating beautiful. And I would have not expected that. Yeah. Yeah, I wish every man has this experience at least once.
Yeah, that sounds cool.
I mean, you know, I like to say, and I've said that in the de-armoring training, and maybe sounds a little bit harsh, but never. I say that to women and to men as well, equal. Don't get, specifically to women, don't get penetrated from a man who has not been penetrated. Well, it can be any kind of form of penetration physically, but you know, we as men, if we are very limited is a shit word, but if we are limited only to penetrating, and we are in this dominative masculine attitude to be the penetrator, we never know how it feels for the person that we're penetrating. And if we have the experience in our body being penetrated, letting something in our body by somebody else's power where we can surrender to, it's more difficult to have the empathy and compassion how it feels when we penetrate somebody else. So the level of penetrating becomes much more loving and caring when we have been penetrated. All right, it's time for a checkout. I still play here with my little wooden thing. And I invite you to take something in your hands for a few moments. And just make connection with your skin and feel into that sensation. And Hildegunn, whenever you're out, you're out. And there was a lot of words, a lot of context, and a lot of mind and talking, but as well sharing experiences. And while you have this in your hand and feeling it, just really feel for a moment into yourself what has been resonating, what was beneficial, and say a few words to check out. I feel excited, not so dumbed down anymore. So it's dark outside. And I'm flabbergasted how fast 90 minutes was over. And I hope that you feel the same. Thanks for joining today. Love yourself. And I will post more in the academy. Thanks for joining today, and love to see you next week. And if you choose, and have a fantastic week. Ciao for now.